From ash, I rise stronger.
2 hours ago, I had a wife, a wallet, and a name that meant something in this godforsaken city. Now I'm standing at this crumbling upstate train station like some discount hobo, broke as hell, with nothing but my own stupidity for company and a dead phone that's about as useful as my marriage vows turned out to be. The concrete platform is cracked and weedy, fitting for a guy whose life just got demolished by a text message and his wife's middle finger waving from the driver's seat of our Honda. Well, her Honda now, I guess. Everything's hers now. That's when the blind man on the bench says something that stops me cold. Pretend to be my son for one evening. My driver's coming in 10 minutes. Trust me when I say your wife will regret leaving you stranded here with the richest man in the city. I turn to look at him properly. He's maybe 70, wearing a suit that probably costs more than my annual salary as a landscape designer. His eyes are milky white, but somehow he's looking right through me like he can see every pathetic detail of my situation. How did you... Heard the whole phone conversation, son. Hard to miss when someone's screaming about cheating wives and worthless husbands. Plus, you've been pacing and muttering for 20 minutes. He taps his white cane against the bench. Sound carries when you're listening. My name is David Chen. Wait, that's not right. My name is David Morrison, and 3 hours ago, I thought I had my life figured out. I'm 34, been married to Marta for 8 years, and I design gardens for rich people who want their money to grow into something beautiful. Turns out I'm better at growing plants than keeping a marriage alive. The fight started this morning over something stupid. Marta wanted me to fire my assistant Jake because her brother Paul needed a job. Paul's a 26-year-old trust fund baby who's never worked a real day in his life, but Marta's been pushing his case for months. He needs the experience, David. Family comes first. He doesn't know a rose bush from a garbage disposal, Marta. I can't just hand him a job because he's your brother. That's when she really let me have it. Called me selfish, stubborn, a failure who couldn't even support his own family properly. Said Paul was twice the man I'd ever be, which seemed like an odd thing to say about her brother, but Marta's always been dramatic. The fight escalated until she grabbed my wallet, my keys, and told me to get in the car. Said she was driving me somewhere to think about priorities. Instead, she dumped me at this train station 40 miles from home with nothing but the clothes on my back. "Walk home and think about what you've done," she said, laughing as she drove away. The blind man, Mr. Larkin, he introduces himself, extends a manicured hand. "Richard Larkin. And you are?" "David Morrison, and I'm having the worst day of my life." "Good, means you're ready to listen." He stands up, surprisingly steady without his cane. "My driver thinks I'm here picking up my estranged son from a business trip. You're about my son's age. Similar build from what I can hear. Play along for one evening, and I'll give you a place to stay while you figure out your next move." A black Mercedes pulls up to the curb. The driver gets out. A mountain of a man in a crisp uniform who nods respectfully to Mr. Larkin. "Evening, Mr. Larkin. This your boy." Larkin squeezes my shoulder. "Frank, meet David. He's had a rough day." Frank opens the rear door. The leather interior smells like money and possibility. I slide in next to Larkin, feeling like I'm crossing some invisible line between my old life and whatever comes next. "Where to, sir?" Frank asks. "Home, Frank. David needs to see the estate." As we drive through the city, Larkin tells me about his life. Made his fortune in tech before going blind in a car accident 5 years ago. His real son died in the same crash. His wife left him 6 months later, taking half his fortune, but leaving him the estate and the gardens. That's where you come in, David. I need someone who understands growing things. Someone who's been broken down and knows what it takes to build back up. My phone buzzes. A text from Marta. "Hope you enjoyed your walk. Paul's moving his stuff into your office tomorrow. Maybe now you'll learn some respect." I show the message to Larkin, who listens as I read it aloud. "Ah," he says quietly. "So it's not just her brother, it's her lover." The words hit me like a slap. What? No woman fights that hard to get her brother a job, son. Especially not when she's willing to strand her husband over it. He leans back in the leather seat. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I stare out the window as we pass through increasingly wealthy neighborhoods. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. Well, you've got time to figure it out. My estate has a guest house, and I could use a gardener who knows what it feels like to be planted in the wrong soil. He smiles, and there's something sharp in it. Sometimes the best gardens grow from the worst situations. The Mercedes turns through iron gates into what looks like a different world. Manicured lawns stretch toward a mansion that belongs in a magazine. But it's the gardens that catch my attention. Acres of carefully planned landscapes that flow like living art. "Welcome to Larkin Estate," Frank says as we pull up to the main house. "Mr. David, you'll be staying in the guest house behind the rose garden." As I get out of the car, my phone buzzes again. Another text from Marta, this one with a photo attachment. It's a selfie of her in our bedroom, our bed, with a man's bare chest visible beside her. The man is definitely not her brother. The message reads, "Paul says hi. Don't bother coming home tonight. We need the privacy." I show the photo to Larkin, my hands shaking with rage and humiliation. "Well," he says calmly, "looks like your wife just made this decision easier." "Frank, show David to the guest house. Tomorrow we'll discuss his new position as head gardener." "What about your real gardener?" "Fired him yesterday. Terrible with roses." Larkin's smile gets sharper. "Besides, I have a feeling you're going to be very motivated to make beautiful things grow while watching ugly things die." As Frank leads me toward the guest house, I can't shake the feeling that I've just made a deal with the devil. But looking at that photo of my wife with another man in our bed, maybe that's exactly what I need right now. The guest house is nicer than my actual house. Frank hands me a key and a business card. "Mr. Larkin's private number. He doesn't sleep much since the accident. Says the darkness is the same whether his eyes are open or closed." Frank pauses at the door. "For what it's worth, Mr. David, I've seen a lot of men get knocked down. The ones who get back up are usually the ones worth knowing." After Frank leaves, I sit on the bed and stare at my phone. Part of me wants to call Marta, to beg, to try to fix this. But that photo keeps flashing in my mind. The smug look on her face, the way she's positioned to make sure I can see she's not alone. She wanted to hurt me, and she succeeded. But as I look out the window at the moonlit gardens, I realize something else. She also just set me free. My phone buzzes one more time, a text from my daughter Emma, who's away at college. "Mom posted on Facebook that you two are taking a break. She's already changed her relationship status." "Dad, what's going on?" I turn off the phone without responding. Tomorrow, I'll figure out how to explain to my daughter that her mother is a stranger I never really knew. Tonight, I'm going to sleep in a house that doesn't smell like betrayal and dream about what kind of garden grows from burned ground. I wake up at dawn out of habit, then remember I don't have anywhere to be. No office to open, no clients to meet, no wife to pretend everything's fine with over coffee. Just silence and the sound of birds in what might be the most beautiful garden I've ever seen. The guest house has a kitchenette stocked with expensive coffee and real cream. I make myself a cup and step outside to explore my temporary kingdom. Larkin's gardens are masterpieces. Whoever designed them understood that landscapes should tell stories. The rose garden flows into a Japanese section with a koi pond, which transitions into a wildflower meadow that looks natural but is clearly planned down to every stem. This is the kind of work I've always dreamed of doing. "Impressive, isn't it?" Larkin's voice comes from behind me. He's walking the gravel path with his cane, moving like a man who knows every stone by heart. "It's incredible. Who designed it?" "My late wife, actually. She had an eye for beauty, even if she didn't have much of a heart for loyalty." He joins me beside the koi pond. "The previous gardener let it go to hell after she left. Said it reminded him too much of better days. And you? I can't see it anymore, so it reminds me of possibility instead of the past." He turns toward me with that unsettling way blind people have of looking directly at you. "Speaking of possibility, have you thought about my offer?" Before I can answer, my phone rings. Marta's name on the screen. "Answer it," Larkin says. "But put it on speaker. I'm curious to hear how betrayal sounds in the morning." I accept the call. "Hello, Marta. David, thank God. I was worried when you didn't come home last night. Where are you?" The concern in her voice is so fake it's insulting. "I'm exactly where you left me, Marta. Dealing with the consequences of your choices. Look, about yesterday, I was angry. We both said things. I saw the photo." Silence. Then, "What photo?" "The selfie you sent last night. You and Paul in our bed. Our bed, Marta." More silence. When she speaks again, the fake concern is gone, replaced by cold calculation. "David, you're being dramatic. Paul needed a place to stay, and you weren't home. Nothing happened." "He's shirtless in our bed, Marta. He was hot. It's not a crime to take off a shirt." The gaslighting is so blatant, it's almost impressive. Larkin is listening with the kind of attention people pay to particularly interesting music. How long? I ask. How long what? How long have you been sleeping with your brother? He's not my... She catches herself. David, you're being paranoid. Paul is family. Paul is not your brother. The silence stretches so long, I think she's hung up. Then, fine, Paul is my cousin, but he's still family, and he needed help. Your cousin who you've been screwing in our bed. Don't be crude, David. This is why our marriage is falling apart. You're always jumping to conclusions, always assuming the worst. Maybe if you spent less time playing in the dirt and more time paying attention to your wife's needs. Stop. The word comes out harder than I intended, like just stop. I'm done listening to you rewrite history. David, come home. We can work this out. I'll ask Paul to find somewhere else to stay. No. What do you mean no? I mean no. I'm not coming home. No. We can't work this out. And no, I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth anymore. Her voice gets sharp. Fine, but don't expect me to wait around while you throw your little tantrum. I have needs, David. If you can't meet them, someone else will. Someone else already is. Paul is a real man, David. He knows how to treat a woman. Maybe you should take notes. The line goes dead. I stare at the phone, feeling like I've just watched my marriage's funeral. Well, Larkin says cheerfully, that was illuminating. She's not even trying to hide it anymore. 8 years, I say. 8 years of marriage, and this is how it ends. With her insulting me while defending the guy she's cheating with. David, let me tell you something about betrayal. It's like cancer. By the time you notice the symptoms, it's been growing for a long time. Your wife didn't wake up yesterday and decide to destroy your marriage. She's been planning this. I think about the last few months. Marta's sudden interest in fitness, new clothes, working late, weekend girls' trips that she never talked about afterward. The signs were all there. I just chose not to see them. So what do I do now? Now you decide what kind of man you want to be. The kind who crawls back and begs for scraps of affection from someone who doesn't respect him, or the kind who builds something better from the ground up. A black sedan pulls through the gates. Frank gets out and walks toward us. Mr. Larkin, you have a visitor. Says she's Mrs. Morrison. My stomach drops. She's here? Apparently so. Should I bring her back? Larkin considers this. No. David and I will meet her at the front door. I'm curious to see how betrayal looks in daylight. We walk to the main house, my nerves getting worse with every step. Marta is standing beside her car, looking around the estate with obvious calculation. She's dressed to impress. Tight jeans, low-cut top, full makeup at 8 in the morning. This is her war outfit. David. She rushes toward me with arms open like we're reuniting after months apart instead of hours. I was so worried about you. I step back before she can embrace me. What do you want, Marta? Her smile falters when she realizes I'm not playing along. Then she notices Larkin, and her expression shifts to something predatory. And you are? Richard Larkin. I own this estate. He extends his hand, and she shakes it while giving him the full charm treatment. Mr. Larkin, I'm Marta Morrison, David's wife. I can't thank you enough for giving my husband shelter last night. He can be so impulsive when he's upset. Impulsive, Larkin repeats. Interesting word choice. David has always been emotional. Yesterday we had a little disagreement about family obligations, and he stormed off. I've been driving around all night looking for him. The lies come so easily, it's like watching a masterclass in manipulation. But Larkin isn't buying it. A disagreement about family obligations, he said. Would that be about your cousin Paul? Marta's eyes narrow slightly. David told you about Paul? He mentioned that Paul needed a job and a place to stay. Apparently your husband wasn't being sufficiently accommodating. That's right. Paul is going through a difficult time, and David refused to help. It's not like him to be so selfish. Selfish, Larkin nods. And where's Paul staying now? With me. Temporarily. Till he gets back on his feet. In your marital home. Well, yes. Where else would he stay? A hotel, a friend's house, his own place. Larkin's voice is getting colder. Anywhere except in another man's bed. Marta's mask slips completely. Excuse me? The photo you sent last night. Paul shirtless in your bedroom. Did you think your husband wouldn't show it to anyone? I watch Marta's face cycle through emotions. Surprise, anger, calculation, then back to fake innocence. Mr. Larkin, I think there's been a misunderstanding. David has a tendency to misinterpret innocent situations. Paul was simply screwing his cousin in her husband's bed, Larkin finishes. Yes, I can see how that might be misinterpreted. The silence that follows is deafening. Marta looks between Larkin and me, realizing that her usual tactics aren't working. David, we need to talk, privately. No, I say, we don't. Yes, we do. You're my husband, and you're coming home with me right now. Actually, he's not. Larkin steps forward slightly. David is my new head gardener. He has a contract and housing provided. He's exactly where he belongs. Contract? Marta's voice gets shrill. What contract? Larkin pulls a folded paper from his jacket pocket. Standard employment agreement. Signed this morning. 1-year minimum commitment with housing and full benefits. I stare at him. We never signed anything, but he hands me the paper with a slight smile, and I realize he's giving me a choice. Sign it and stay, or walk away and go back to my old life. I take the pen he offers and sign my name. There, I say, handing the contract back to Larkin. I guess I have a job. Marta's face goes white, then red. David, you can't be serious. You're going to throw away our marriage over a stupid fight? I'm not throwing away our marriage, Marta. You already did that when you brought Paul into our bed. We didn't. She stops, realizing that denying it now just makes her look more pathetic. Fine, you want to play games? I can play games too. She pulls out her phone and starts typing furiously. What are you doing? Posting on Facebook. My husband has abandoned our marriage to live with a stranger. Please pray for his mental health during this difficult time. She looks up at me with vicious satisfaction. Let's see how your clients feel about hiring a gardener who's having a breakdown. Go ahead, I say, man. Post whatever you want. But you might want to mention that I'm now working for Richard Larkin. Her typing stops. Even Marta knows that name. The Richard Larkin? She asks weakly. The very one, Larkin confirms. And I don't appreciate people slandering my employees on social media. I have excellent lawyers who specialize in defamation cases. Marta deletes whatever she was typing and puts her phone away. This isn't over, David. Yes, it is. She gets in her car and drives away without another word. I watch until she's through the gates, feeling like I've just witnessed the death of someone I used to be. Well, Larkin says, that was entertaining. She's quite the actress. 8 years of my life. 8 years of education. Now you know what you're dealing with. He folds the contract and puts it back in his pocket. The question is, what are you going to do with what you've learned? I look around the estate, the perfect gardens, the beautiful house, the sense of possibility that seems to hang in the morning air. I'm going to make things grow. Good answer. But David? Yeah? Some things need to be cut back before new growth can happen. Just keep that in mind. 3 weeks into my new life, I've established a routine that feels more natural than anything I did in my marriage. Up at dawn, coffee on the guest house porch, then 8 hours of working with my hands in soil that responds exactly the way it should. No lies, no manipulation, no hidden agendas, just cause and effect, effort and reward. Larkin and I have breakfast together most mornings. He's teaching me about his business empire, while I tell him about garden restoration. It's an odd friendship, but it works. We're both men who've been betrayed by the people we trusted most. This morning, he has news. David, I've been thinking about your situation. My situation? Your wife, her boyfriend. The way they're undoubtedly enjoying themselves in your former home while you're here rebuilding my gardens. He sips his coffee thoughtfully. It seems unfair. Life's unfair. I'm learning to accept that. Acceptance is overrated. Action is better. He sets down his cup. I've been making some inquiries about Paul. What kind of inquiries? The kind that rich men make when they want to know who's sleeping in their employee's former bed. Paul Henderson, age 26, unemployed for the past 8 months. Degree in communications from a private college that his parents paid for. No real work experience, but plenty of experience spending other people's money. How do you know all this? I have resources, David. The question is whether you want to use them. Before I can answer, my phone rings. It's Jake, my former assistant. Dave, we need to talk. Can you meet me at Murphy's bar tonight? What's wrong? It's about your wife and that Paul guy. There's stuff you need to know. Murphy's bar is the kind of place where working men drink beer after long days. Jake is already there when I arrive. looking uncomfortable in a booth near the back. "Thanks for coming, Dave. I wasn't sure if you'd want to see me." "Why wouldn't I?" "Because I should have told you about this sooner." He takes a long pull from his beer. "About your wife and Paul." My stomach tightens. "What about them?" "They've been together for months, Dave, since way before that fight you had. I saw them together at the Marriott downtown back in February. They didn't see me, but they were all over each other." February. 3 months before she stranded me at that train station. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was a coward. I kept thinking it was none of my business, or maybe I was wrong about what I saw." He stares into his beer. "But after she fired me last week, I figured you deserved to know the truth." "She fired you?" "Said the business was going in a new direction. Paul's taking over all the design work. Apparently, he's a creative visionary now." The anger hits me like a physical blow. It's one thing to steal my wife, another to steal my work and give it to her boyfriend. "Jake, I want you to do something for me. Name it. I want you to document everything they're doing with the business. Client lists, project files, financial records, everything you can get your hands on." "Dave, I don't work there anymore." "But you still have friends who do, and you know where they keep the files." I lean forward. "I'm not asking you to steal anything, just document what they're stealing from me." Jake considers this. "What are you planning?" "I'm planning to make sure they don't get away with it." 2 days later, Jake calls with information that makes my blood boil. Marta and Paul have been presenting my designs as Paul's original work. They've landed 3 major contracts using portfolios of gardens I spent years creating. But the real kicker comes when Jake sends me photos from Marta's Instagram account. She's posted dozens of pictures of herself and Paul at expensive restaurants, weekend getaways, and shopping trips, all time-stamped from the past 4 months, while she was still married to me. The captions are particularly galling. "Date night with my amazing man. Paul always knows how to treat a lady. Finally found someone who appreciates me." She's not even pretending this started recently. She's flaunting a months-long affair like it's a fairy tale romance. That evening, I show the evidence to Larkin. "Interesting," he says after I've read him the captions. "She's not just cheating, she's rewriting history, making it seem like you were the problem in the marriage." The comments are even worse. All her friends acting like they knew Paul was the one all along, like I was just some placeholder until she found her real soulmate. Social media is a wonderful thing, David. It makes people feel so safe behind their screens that they document their own crimes. "What do you mean?" "I mean your wife has just created a public record of infidelity, theft of intellectual property, and fraud, all while still legally married to you." He smiles that sharp smile I'm getting used to. "The question is, what do you want to do about it?" "I want them to pay for what they've done." "Good, because I have some ideas." The next morning, Larkin introduces me to his lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia Wells, who specializes in what she calls creative justice. "Mr. Morrison, your wife has made several strategic errors. First, she's using your work without permission while you're still legally entitled to it. Second, she's flaunting her infidelity on social media. Third, she's presenting the false information to potential clients about who created the designs they're buying. What can we do about it?" "Legally, quite a lot. But Mr. Larkin tells me you're interested in something more comprehensive. I want them to understand what they've done. I want consequences." Patricia nods approvingly. "I like a client who thinks strategically. Here's what I propose." Her plan is elegant in its simplicity. "We're going to give Marta and Paul exactly what they want: success, recognition, and public attention. Then, we're going to make sure that attention focuses on all the right details. The key," Patricia explains, "is patience. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they've won. Then we document everything and present it all at once, in a context they can't control or spin." "What kind of context?" "Leave that to us," Larkin says. "But I think you're going to enjoy it." That night, I call my daughter Emma. She's been texting me for weeks trying to understand what happened between her mother and me. It's time to tell her the truth. "Dad, I was starting to think you were avoiding me." "I was. I needed time to process some things. Mom says you had some kind of breakdown, that you're living with strangers and refusing to get help." The lies just keep coming. "Emma, I need to tell you some things about your mother and me. Things you're not going to want to hear." I explain everything: the affair, the business theft, the systematic deception. Emma listens in silence until I finish. "Dad, are you sure? I mean, Mom seems really happy with Paul, but she said they just started dating after you two separated." "Check her Instagram, sweetheart. Look at the timestamps on the photos." There's a long pause while she scrolls through her mother's social media. Oh my God, Dad, some of these are from February. You guys didn't separate until May. I know, she's been lying to me, to everyone. Her voice gets small. I posted supportive comments on some of these photos. I told her I was happy she found someone who made her smile. You didn't know, but everyone's gonna think I did. Everyone's gonna think I was okay with her cheating on you. She starts crying. Dad, I'm so sorry. I should have known something was wrong. Emma, this is not your fault. Your mother made her choices. You don't have to answer for them. But what am I supposed to do now? She's my mom, but what she did to you, you don't have to choose sides, sweetheart. Just remember that actions have consequences, and your mother is about to learn that lesson. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not going to let her rewrite history. I'm not going to let her paint me as the villain while she plays the sufferer. And I'm not going to let her steal my work and give it to her boyfriend. Dad, you sound different. I feel different. I feel like myself for the first time in years. After we hang up, I sit on the guest house porch and look out at the gardens I've been restoring. 3 weeks ago, they were overgrown and neglected. Now they're starting to look like what they were always meant to be. Sometimes things have to be cut back before they can grow properly. Sometimes you have to clear away the weeds before you can plant something better. Marta wanted to destroy my life. Instead, she freed me from a marriage that was slowly eliminating who I really was. Now it's time to show her what she actually lost and what she's about to lose. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This is Paul. We need to talk. Meet me at the gym on 5th Street tomorrow at 8 p.m. Come alone. I show the message to Larkin, who laughs out loud. He wants to meet at a gym? How wonderfully predictable. The alpha male wants to intimidate you on his turf. Should I go? Absolutely. But David, don't go alone. Take Frank with you and bring a camera. The gym on 5th Street is exactly what I expected. All chrome and mirrors, filled with men who spend more time looking at themselves than actually working out. Paul is waiting for me by the boxing ring wearing designer workout gear that's never seen real sweat. Frank is positioned near the entrance, casual but alert. The camera in my gym bag is recording everything. David, Paul nods like we're old friends meeting for drinks. Thanks for coming. What do you want, Paul? I want to clear the air, man to man. He gestures around the gym. This seemed like the right place for an honest conversation. Honest. That's funny coming from you. His smile gets tighter. Look, I know you're upset about Marta and me. I get it, but what we have is real, David. It's not some fling or rebound thing. We're in love. How long? What? How long have you been in love? Because her Instagram suggests it's been going on for months while she was still married to me. Paul's mask slips for just a moment, revealing something ugly underneath. Marta was unhappy, David. She needed someone who could give her what she wasn't getting at home. And what was that? Passion, excitement. A man who knows how to treat a woman like she deserves. He steps closer, trying to use his height advantage to intimidate me. She told me about your problems in the bedroom, about how you never made her feel desired. The lies are so casual, so confident, that I almost admire the audacity. Almost. Is that what she told you? She told me everything, David. How you ignored her needs, how you chose your precious plants over your own wife, how you made her feel invisible. He's warming up now, enjoying himself. She said sleeping with me was like waking up after years of being dead. And the business, my designs that you're passing off as your own work? Marta's business now. She's the one with the vision and the connections. You were just the hired help. That's when I realized this isn't just about intimidation. Paul genuinely believes his own BS. He's convinced himself that he's the hero in this story, rescuing poor Marta from her awful husband. Paul, let me ask you something. Do you actually know anything about landscape design? I know enough. It's not rocket science. You put some plants in the ground and charge rich people too much money for it. Show me. What? I pull out my phone and open the photos Jake sent me, pictures of the projects Paul has been working on since taking over my business. This is the Henderson project, right? The one you designed last week? Paul glances at the photo. Yeah, that's mine. You put roses next to black walnut trees. So, black walnut trees are allelopathic. They release chemicals that eliminate most other plants, especially roses. Everything you planted there will be dead in 6 months. Paul's confidence wavers slightly. The client wanted roses. The client hired a professional to tell them what would actually work. Instead, they got someone who doesn't know the difference between a perennial and an annual. I don't have to prove anything to you. No, you don't. Your work will speak for itself. When all those plants die and the clients start demanding refunds, your reputation will be exactly what it deserves to be. Paul's face is getting red now. You think you're so smart, don't you? Sitting in your rich friend's house, playing in the dirt like some kind of artist. But you lost, David. Marta chose me. Your business is mine now. You have nothing. I have something you'll never have. What's that? The knowledge that I didn't have to steal another man's life to get what I wanted. Paul takes a swing at me. I see it coming from a mile away, a wild, angry haymaker thrown by someone who's never been in a real fight. I step aside and let his momentum carry him into the ropes of the boxing ring. Feel better? I ask as he straightens up, embarrassed and breathing hard. You son of a witch! Paul, let me give you some free advice. When you're stealing another man's wife and his business, you probably shouldn't pick fights with him in public places with security cameras. He looks around and notices for the first time that several people are watching us. Frank is recording everything on his phone from across the room. This isn't over, Paul says, but the fight has gone out of him. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. I leave him standing there and walk out of the gym, feeling better than I have in months. Paul wanted to intimidate me, to make me feel small and defeated. Instead, he showed me exactly what kind of man Marta chose over me. Frank is grinning when we get to the car. That was beautiful, Mr. David. He threw the first punch, it's all on video, and he basically confessed to stealing your business. Think it'll be useful? Oh, I think Ms. Wells is going to love this footage. When we get back to the estate, Larkin is waiting with Patricia and a man I don't recognize. David, meet Thomas Chen, investigative journalist for the city paper. He's very interested in your story. Thomas shakes my hand. Mr. Morrison, I understand you have some interesting information about business fraud in the landscape design industry. I have evidence that my estranged wife and her boyfriend are using my copyrighted designs to defraud clients. And you have documentation of this? Patricia opens a thick folder. Client testimonials, original design sketches, copyright registrations, and social media evidence of the timeline. Plus video of the boyfriend confessing to taking over the business. Thomas flips through the documents. This is solid. But what makes it newsworthy? The scale, Larkin says. They've defrauded 6 major clients in the past month alone, representing over $200,000 in contracts. And they're advertising for more. Plus, I admit, Paul doesn't actually know anything about plants. His designs are going to eliminate everything he plants. When those clients realize they've been scammed, it's going to be a much bigger story. Thomas grins. A love triangle that becomes a business fraud case, that becomes a horticultural disaster. I like it. When do you want this to run? Soon, Larkin says. But not yet. First, we're going to give them enough rope to hang themselves. What do you mean? Patricia pulls out another document. We're going to help them get the biggest contract of their careers, the kind of project that will make them local celebrities, and then we're going to make sure everyone knows exactly how they got there. She slides the paper across the table. It's a request for proposals for the new city botanical garden, a $3 million project that would be the crown jewel of any landscape designer's portfolio. You want them to bid on this? I want them to win it, Larkin says, and I want everyone in the city watching when they do. The plan is diabolical in its elegance. Larkin has connections on the Botanical Garden Board. He's going to make sure Marta and Paul's proposal gets accepted. Despite being technically inadequate, the contract will be announced at a big public ceremony with media coverage and speeches about the importance of supporting local businesses. And then, I ask? Then Thomas publishes his investigation the next day, Patricia says, complete with expert analysis of why their design will fail, evidence of how they stole your work, and documentation of their fraudulent business practices. The botanical garden will have to cancel the contract, Thomas adds. There'll be a public scandal. Other clients will start asking questions about their own projects. The whole house of cards will come down. What about Marta? What about her? Larkin asks. I mean, she's still my wife, legally. When this all comes out, David, Patricia says gently, your wife committed infidelity and business fraud. She's been publicly humiliating you for months while stealing your work and giving it to her boyfriend. The question isn't whether she deserves consequences. The question is whether you're ready to stop being her sufferer. I think about the photo she sent me that first night. The smug look on her face as she showed me another man in our bed. The way she's been rewriting our history on social media, painting me as the problem while she plays the wronged woman who found true love. I'm ready. Good, Larkin says, because phase 1 starts tomorrow. That night, I call Emma to warn her about what's coming. Dad, are you sure about this? I mean, I know what Mom did was wrong, but this sounds like it's going to destroy her. Emma, your mother destroyed our marriage, stole my business, and has been publicly humiliating me for months. I tried to walk away quietly, but she won't let me. She wants to have her affair and keep my work and paint me as the villain. She can't have all three. But what if she loses everything? Then she'll understand what she put me through. Actions have consequences, sweetheart. Your mother's about to learn that lesson. I love you, Dad, but I hope you know what you're doing. I do. For the first time in years, I know exactly what I'm doing. After we hang up, I sit in the garden and think about the man I used to be. Passive, accommodating, always trying to keep the peace. That man would have crawled back to Marta, would have begged for forgiveness for crimes he didn't commit, would have let her keep his work and his dignity just to avoid conflict. But that man is dead. He died the night she sent me that photo. What grew in his place is someone harder, smarter, and completely done with being anyone's sufferer. Marta wanted to play games. Tomorrow, she's going to learn that some games have consequences she never imagined. The botanical garden announcement ceremony is everything Larkin promised it would be. City officials, local media, and half the landscape design community in the region gathered in the mayor's conference room to celebrate the largest public garden project in the city's history. I'm watching from the back of the room as Marta and Paul sit at the head table, basking in congratulations for winning the contract. Marta is wearing a dress that probably cost more than most people's rent, and Paul looks like he's trying not to smirk as reporters ask him about his innovative design philosophy. Mr. Henderson, one reporter asks, what inspired your winning design? Well, I've always believed that gardens should tell a story, Paul says, clearly reciting something he's memorized. This design represents the harmony between human creativity and natural beauty. He's literally quoting from an article I wrote 3 years ago. The audacity is breathtaking. And Ms. Morrison, how does it feel to land such a prestigious contract? It's a dream come true, Marta gushes. Paul is such a visionary artist. Working with him has been the most creatively fulfilling experience of my life. She's looking directly at me as she says it, making sure I understand that this is personal. She's not just stealing my work. She's rubbing my face in it. The mayor presents them with a ceremonial check for $3 million while photographers capture the moment. Paul and Marta pose with huge smiles, holding the check between them like lottery winners. This project will be a crown jewel for our city, the mayor announces, a testament to the talent and vision of our local business community. Thomas Chen is in the front row taking notes and photos. He catches my eye and nods slightly. Everything is going according to plan. After the ceremony, I watch Marta and Paul work the room, accepting congratulations and setting up meetings with potential new clients. They're drunk on success, completely convinced they've won. That's when Patricia Wells approaches them with a contract amendment. Ms. Morrison, Mr. Henderson, congratulations on your victory. I just need you to sign this addendum regarding the timeline for Phase 1 implementation. They barely glance at the document before signing. They have no idea they've just agreed to begin work immediately, with the first phase due for completion in 30 days. They also don't realize that the contract includes penalty clauses for failure to deliver, penalties that would bankrupt them. Thank you, Patricia says sweetly. The city is very excited to see your vision come to life. As we leave the ceremony, Larkin is practically glowing with satisfaction. How did they look? He asks, like people who think they've just won the lottery. Perfect. Tomorrow they'll learn the difference between winning and earning. The next morning, Thomas Chen's article hits the front page of the city paper. The headline reads, Botanical Garden Winners Accused of Design Theft and Fraud. The article is devastating. Thomas has documented everything, the timeline of the affair, the stolen designs, Paul's complete lack of qualifications, an expert analysis of why their botanical garden design will fail catastrophically. But the real butcher is the sidebar story. The Plants That Will Die. Expert Analysis of Flawed Garden Design. Thomas interviewed 3 prominent botanists who reviewed Paul's design. Their conclusions are damning. This design shows a fundamental misunderstanding of plant biology and soil chemistry. At least 60% of the proposed plantings are incompatible with the site conditions or with each other. This isn't just poor design, it's horticultural malpractice. The article includes photos from Paul's previous projects, showing dead and dying plants that were improperly selected and placed. It also features interviews with clients who are demanding refunds after discovering their gardens were designed by someone with no actual training. By noon, the story has been picked up by 3 television stations and shared thousands of times on social media. The hashtag #BotanicalFraud is trending locally. My phone starts ringing at 8 a.m. and doesn't stop. Reporters want interviews. Former clients want to know if their projects were actually designed by me. And potential new clients, want to hire the real designer, whose work was stolen. But the call I'm waiting for comes at 2 p.m. David? Marta's voice is tight with barely controlled panic. We need to talk. Do we? Don't play games with me. I know you're behind this article. I'm behind it? Marta, I didn't make you steal my designs or sleep with someone who doesn't know a tulip from a turnip. I just documented what you did. You're trying to destroy us. I don't have to try. You're doing a fine job of that yourselves. The botanical garden is threatening to cancel our contract. They want us to prove that Paul actually designed the winning proposal. Can you? Silence. We both know the answer. David, please. I know we had problems, but this is too much. You're ruining our lives. Our lives? Marta, you left me stranded at a train station and sent me photos of you in bed with another man. You stole my business and gave it to your boyfriend. You've been publicly humiliating me for months while playing the sufferer. What exactly did you think was going to happen? I thought you'd be a man about it. I thought you'd move on with dignity instead of trying to destroy me. The hypocrisy is so staggering, it's almost funny. Move on with dignity while you were stealing my work and trashing my reputation? That's different. How is that different? Because I fell in love, David. I couldn't help what happened between Paul and me. But this vendetta you're on, this is just spite. You're right, this is spite, and you earned every bit of it. Please, David, I'll give you back the business. I'll admit that the designs were yours. Just call off your attack dogs. Too late for that, Marta. You made this public when you decided to steal my work. Now it's going to be resolved publicly. What do you want? I want you to understand what you did. I want consequences. And I want everyone to know exactly who you really are. You fool. Maybe. But I'm a fool who knows the difference between a rose and a weed. I hang up and immediately call Patricia. How are they doing? Panicking? The botanical garden wants proof that Paul designed the winning proposal. 3 of their current clients are demanding refunds. And Paul's been getting calls from reporters all day asking him to explain his design choices. Has he talked to any of them? He gave one interview this morning. It didn't go well. The reporter asked him to identify common plants from photographs. He called a daffodil a yellow flower thing and couldn't tell the difference between an oak tree and a maple. Jesus, it gets better. Marta's been trying to do damage control on social media, but she keeps making it worse. She posted a long rant about how the media is destroying innocent people's lives, but she accidentally included a photo of her and Paul from February with the timestamp visible. So everyone can see she was cheating months before she claims the relationship started. Exactly. The comments are not supportive. That evening, I'm working in Larkin's rose garden when Frank comes to find me. Mr. David, you have visitors. Your wife and her boyfriend are at the front gate. I find them standing beside Paul's BMW, looking like refugees from their former life. Marta's designer dress is wrinkled, her makeup smeared from crying. Paul looks like he hasn't slept in days. David, Marta says as soon as she sees me, thank God, we need to talk. I think we've said everything there is to say. Please, for 5 minutes, just let me explain against my better judgment. I walk closer to the gate. Explain what? How sorry I am, how wrong I was, how much I want to fix this. Tears are streaming down her face now. David, I made a terrible mistake. Paul and I, it wasn't real, it was just excitement, something different. But you're my husband. You're the man I built a life with. The life you destroyed. The life I want to rebuild. With you. She grabs the gate between us. David, I'll do anything. I'll leave Paul. I'll give you back the business. I'll admit everything publicly. Just please call off this campaign against us. I look at Paul, who's standing behind her like a kicked dog. What about you, Paul? Do you have anything to say? Look, man, I'm sorry about the business stuff. I didn't know how complicated garden design was. I thought it was just, making things look nice. You thought you could steal 8 years of my work and no one would notice? I didn't think of it as stealing. Marta said you were done with that life, that you didn't want the business anymore. When did she say that? Back in February, when we started talking. I look at Marta. February? You were planning this in February? Her face crumbles. David, please. You were planning to leave me 4 months before you actually did it. You were setting up Paul to take over my business while you were still sleeping in my bed and pretending to be my wife. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. The anger I've been holding back for weeks finally breaks free. You didn't have an affair, Marta. You planned a complete betrayal. You systematically destroyed our marriage while pretending everything was fine. You stole my work, gave it to your boyfriend, and then had the nerve to act like I was the problem. David, I was unhappy. So you decided to make me unhappy too. You couldn't just leave. You had to take everything, my wife, my business, my reputation, my dignity. You had to make sure I lost everything, while you won everything. That's not what I wanted. That's exactly what you wanted. And now that it's backfiring, you want me to save you from the consequences of your own choices. Paul steps forward. Look, David, maybe we can work something out. Some kind of partnership or... Partnership? I laugh, and it's not a pleasant sound. Paul, you can't identify a daffodil. You eliminated 3 gardens in the past month. You have no skills, no knowledge, and no integrity. What exactly would you bring to a partnership? I brought passion to your wife? The words hang in the air like a challenge. Marta goes white. Paul, don't... No, Marta, he needs to hear this. David, you had 8 years to make your wife happy and you failed. I made her happy in 8 weeks. That's not stealing. That's upgrading. Upgrading, I repeat. To a man who thinks roses grow next to black walnut trees. I made her feel like a woman again. You made her feel like a fool, and now the whole city knows it. Paul's face gets red. You think you're so smart, hiding behind your rich friend and your lawyers? But you're still the same pathetic loser who got dumped for a better man. Paul, stop, Marta pleads. No, I'm tired of this. David, you want to know the truth? Marta was bored out of her mind with you. She used to call you the gardener, like you were hired help. She said sleeping with you was like, damn, a piece of furniture. Marta is crying harder now. Paul, please stop. She said you were boring in bed, boring at dinner, boring in every way that matters. She said the only thing you were good at was playing in the dirt. Is that what she said? That's what she said. So yeah, I upgraded her. From a boring landscaper to a real man who knows how to treat a woman. Paul, I say quietly, you're about to lose your car. What? Your BMW. It's about to be repossessed. The loan company will be here within the hour. His face goes pale. How do you... Because I know everything about you, Paul. I know you're 3 months behind on your car payments. I know your credit cards are maxed out. I know you've been living off Marta's money since February, which means you've been stealing from my business to pay your debts. That's not... I know about the gambling problem you've been hiding from Marta. The $20,000 you owe to Tony Marconi's people. The reason you really needed to get into the landscape business. Because you thought it was easy money. Paul looks like he's going to be sick. How could you possibly know that? Because when someone tries to destroy your life, you learn everything about them. And Paul, your life is built on lies, debt, and other people's money. Just like your relationship with my wife. Marta's staring at Paul like she's seeing him for the first time. Paul, is this true? Do you owe money to criminals? Marta, I can explain. $20,000 to gangsters? They're not gangsters, they're just businessmen. Oh my God. She backs away from him. Paul, what have you gotten us into? Nothing. It's under control. The botanical garden contract would have covered everything. Would have covered everything? Her voice is getting shrill. You were going to use stolen money to pay gambling debts? It's not stolen money, it's our money. It's not our money, it's David's money. It's his business, his designs, his reputation. She's screaming now. You lied to me. You told me you were a designer. I am a designer. You can't tell a daffodil from a tulip. I'm learning. You're learning with my money. With David's work. You're a fraud, Paul. You're a complete fraud, and you made me into one too. She turns to me, her face streaked with tears and mascara. David, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know any of this. You knew enough. I thought Paul was different. I thought he was confident and successful and everything you weren't. But he's worse than nothing. He's a criminal. I'm not a criminal. You stole a business. You defrauded clients. You used fake credentials to win a $3 million contract. She's completely hysterical now. David, please, you have to help me. I can't be associated with this. I can't go to jail. You're not going to jail, Marta. You're just going to be poor and humiliated and alone, just like you wanted me to be. David, please, no. You made your choice in February when you decided to destroy our marriage. You made it again when you stole my business. You made it again when you sent me that photo. And you made it again when you stood up at that ceremony yesterday and took credit for my work. A tow truck pulls up to the curb. The driver gets out and walks toward Paul's BMW. Paul Henderson? Paul looks like he wants to run. Yeah? I'm here for the vehicle. You can remove any personal belongings, but the car comes with me. This is maltreatment, Paul says weakly. This is consequences, I correct him. As the tow truck driver hooks up the BMW, Marta and Paul stand there like children, watching their toys being taken away. How are you getting home? I ask. I don't know, Marta admits. Call an Uber, but not on my credit card. You canceled that, remember? David, what am I supposed to do? I don't have anywhere to go. You have the house. Paul's been staying there. All his stuff is there. Then I guess you'll have to figure out your living arrangements. Just like I had to when you abandoned me at a train station. But I don't have any money. The business accounts are frozen. The botanical garden canceled our contract. And all our clients are demanding refunds. Sounds like you need to get a job. Doing what? My reputation is destroyed. No one in this industry will ever hire me. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to steal my reputation and give it to your boyfriend. The tow truck drives away with Paul's car. He's standing on the sidewalk looking lost and defeated. This isn't over, he says, but there's no conviction in it. Yes, it is. Paul, you're about to disappear. No car, no job, no skills, no money, and some very unpleasant people looking for their $20,000. I'd suggest you find somewhere else to be, somewhere far from here. He walks away without another word, pulling out his phone to call someone for a ride. Marta's still standing at the gate, crying and shaking. David, I know you hate me. I know I deserve this, but please, for the sake of what we used to have, help me figure out what to do next. What we used to have was a lie, Marta. You were planning to leave me while pretending to love me. You were stealing from me while pretending to support me. You were humiliating me while pretending to be my partner. I made mistakes. You made choices, and now you get to live with them. So that's it? 8 years of marriage and you're just gonna walk away? I'm not walking away, Marta. You threw me away. I'm just refusing to be your safety net when your new life falls apart. She stares at me through the gate, and I can see the moment when she realizes that the man she married, the man who would have forgiven anything, accepted any excuse, taken any blame, is gone. What happened to you? She whispers. You did. You eliminated the man who loved you and created someone who knows exactly what you're worth. I turn and walk back toward the house, leaving her standing alone at the gate. Behind me, I hear her calling my name, but I don't turn around. Some bridges are meant to be burned, and some gardens grow better after the weeds are completely removed. 3 hours later, Larkin finds me in the rose garden, deadheading spent blooms. How do you feel? He asks. Free. Any regrets? I think about Marta's tears, her desperate pleas, the way she looked when she realized that Paul had been using her just as much as she'd been using me. No. She made her choices. She wanted consequences for me, so she gets consequences for herself. And Paul? Paul's about to learn that stealing from people has risks beyond getting caught. The gambling debts? Among other things, he'll be gone by tomorrow. Men like Paul always run when things get difficult. What about you? What's next for David Morrison? I look around the garden, the roses I've brought back to life, the pathways I've cleared, the beauty I've created from neglected ground. I'm going to keep growing things, real things, beautiful things, things that last. Sounds like a good life. It is. It's my life, finally. As the sun sets over Larkin Estate, I finish my work in the rose garden and head back to the guest house. Tomorrow I'll start planning new projects, meeting with the clients who want to hire the real designer behind the stolen work. Tonight I'm going to sleep in a bed that doesn't smell like betrayal, in a house where no one lies to me, in a life that's finally completely mine. Marta wanted to destroy me and build something better with Paul. Instead, she destroyed herself and built something better for me. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting people face the consequences of their own choices. Sometimes the best garden grows from the ashes of what came before.